Do you remember when Ash
I
dies?
do.
Ash dies?
And Pikachu cries, and little
Does he
tears
come back
float
to
off
life?
his face, and he's trying to shock him to life. He's like, Pikachu!
I saw this. I saw this. Oh shit! That's like buried deep. That's a core memory. Whoa!
Dude, that's a core memory for a lot of people our age, because we all saw that, and we're like, nobody went to admit how emotional we all were, but we were really emotional watching Ash die.
I was 8 years old, and I remember I was trying to hype up my parents for this and being like, this is the cinematic
experience
of my lifetime. Ash is
Does
dead.
he come back to life?
Yeah, they bring him back to life.
Okay.
Well, he turns into stone, and then Pikachu's tear turns him back. All the Pokemon's tears kind of come up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
yeah,
I
they all
see
cry.
this?
Yeah.
And if you went to theaters, you got a special Mew card.
I did.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
And I went to McDonald's a bunch, and they gave out those like gold-plated cards in the Pokeballs.
Oh, dude, I think those, gold-plated Pokemon cards. I have those.
Yeah.
They're not even cards. They're literally like bars.
Yeah,
bars of metal.
It's like this big,
yeah.
and they're heavy,
Yeah.
and they can like sit in the plastic Pokeball. And even as a kid, I was like, it's weird that this heavy metal thing is in a plastic case. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Not Your Father's Movies. I'm Vito.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jesse, and we are I was going to say mom fathers, but I don't like that. We're just the dad fathers. We're the dad fathers, and we're coming at you with a mixture of mom energy and some big bug hunt energy.
Is this just another bug hunt?
I think you did say mom fathers, though, Jesse, even though you
did.
didn't want to.
I was happy.
Everybody understands my feelings on it now, and that's what matters.
The reason that Jesse is having these feelings is that this very special episode of Not Your Father's Movies is actually for Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. All you moms out there, our wives, our moms, their moms, our aunt's moms, same mom. We're here just like celebrating Mother's Day because a big part of being a dad is that there's a mom.
Yeah.
And for every dad, there's a mom or two close to his heart. So we decided that for our first Mother's Day episode, we're going to talk about aliens.
Aliens! Yeah! It's definitely the mommest movie that we could think of.
Yeah. I just like, we shot past all romantic comedies. We shot past all period historical dramas. And we have ended up here with James Cameron's sequel to 1979's Alien, Aliens.
Because there are moms in here. Or at least one actual mom and one mom figure.
Yeah. An adopted mom. There's an adopted mom here.
Yeah.
And then there's some sort of hive bug queen also. We'll talk about that. So this is Aliens from 1986, the sequel to 1979's Alien by Ridley Scott. This one, though, is directed and written by James Cameron. It's his third movie behind Piranha 2, The Spawning, and The Terminator. Now, I have to ask, is there a lot of love for Piranha 2, The Spawning?
I mean, personally, I think it's his greatest movie, but I'm kidding. I haven't seen it.
It spawned a great love of him from me.
Ooh, smooth.
Because it's the spawning.
That is why you're right.
I get it.
But, everyone knows James Cameron. He is possibly the most well-known blockbuster filmmaker, maybe of all time, which is surprising given the small number of movies that he's actually made. Besides those two, he's also done The Abyss, T2 Judgment Day, True Lies, Titanic, and Avatar. That's it.
Is that really it?
That is it.
That's
so
wild.
He has a hand in producing many things.
Yeah.
He's executive producer credit on a lot of stuff. Not like Steven Spielberg, who apparently just puts his name up on Etsy for the highest bidder. But he does have a lot of things that he's involved in. There's like some talk over him directing or writing. And in the end, it just comes down to him shepherding the project along.
Can I just point out that we have Aliens, a huge sci-fi franchise, and then Terminator, another huge sci-fi franchise, and then you have Titanic, at the time the highest grossing movie of all time. It was an absolute sensation. And then you have Avatar, again, an absolute sensation, right?
Mhm.
Like
Again,
also
the highest
smashing
grossing
records.
movie of all time.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
briefly surpassed by Endgame, right? Avengers Endgame, but
Briefly.
it came back up on top. They were like,
Mhm.
no, let's put it back in theaters for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Yeah, it is. He's a strange guy. Okay, James Cameron, strange fella. He's been married 5 times. He is a National Geographic Explorer in residence, and he is the only single man to have 2 films to make $2 billion at the box office, and the only man to have 2 movies in the top 3. For both of those, he's also the first to do that. Okay, so that's also for Avatar and Titanic.
He's the first to have 5 wives.
No, absolutely not.
How many of them are moms?
3, I think.
There you go.
I think 3.
That's a lot of them.
We'll get to them. I have them down here.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's been nominated for 6 Academy Awards. He's a 3-time winner, though, for all of them. Okay. He won all 3 of those for Titanic. Now, the wives. Okay. He's been married to Sharon Williams, Gail Ann Hurd, who is a producer on this movie and several others of his films going forward. Another one is Catherine Bigelow, who won Best Picture over him at the 82nd Academy Awards. Their films tied for most noms, but hers, The Hurt Locker, won for Best Pick and won more than Avatar did. She is the first woman to win Best Director. Pretty stellar.
Great movie.
Yeah. And then
that win.
I think it did. That was a difficult year, but The Hurt Locker is really intense.
Oh, it is really over Avatar.
Yeah, I think pretty unquestionably.
Mm-hmm.
He's also been married to Linda Hamilton, star of Terminator.
Oh.
And then now since 2000 to Susie Amos. So 21 years, and they have moved to New Zealand together, and they have founded a vegan-only movement that uses animals in a really interesting way to propagate healthy soil to make growing things better.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's very, very involved with environmentalism, as is he, and they've set up several different sort of foundations and companies to let this happen. Like James Cameron is a busy dude, but Susie Amos has her own sort of track that she's on that he's helping her with. So that's cool. After 4, he found the 5th one and is like, all right, you, I guess. I don't know. That's me conjecturing. Okay, so even though James Cameron has a tiny kind of number of movies that we all know, we know all of them. And in between Titanic, which is 1997, and Avatar, which is 2009, he was really, really busy. He got very much into deep sea exploration. He has personally traveled to the Challenger Deep, which is the deepest known point in the ocean, and is only the 3rd person to do so after a 2-man team in 1960 aboard the Bathysphere, which is insane.
Whoa.
He embarks on a solo mission more than 40 years after the first mission to go to the deepest known point in the ocean. James Cameron, Academy Award winning filmmaker, goes to the bottom of the ocean alone.
How long was he there for?
I think it's 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Imagine like you're just having a bad day and like you wake up, you're like, shit, I'm going to the bottom. Like I just don't feel good. Like you know those days when you're just like, I'm kind of sore everywhere. And like, that's today. Like maybe do it tomorrow. Like, no, you got to go today. There's a storm coming tomorrow.
Right.
Oh, but I hate the
It's
bottom
like
of the ocean. It's so ugly.
Just like looking at his phone. It's like, it's be over.
He actually discovered several expeditions that he helped with. He made several documentaries. Some of them might be on Disney Plus, but they actually discovered several new species while they were down there of like sea cucumber.
Really?
And I think they discovered one new squid species, something like that.
Cool.
So like he's busy all the time.
Did they name one of them the Xenomorph?
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
So disappointed. That's a wasted opportunity. Bottom of the ocean creatures, and not one of them is named Xenomorph.
It's just like, look, it's a new sea cucumber. How fun.
Ew.
Look at it floating.
Oh.
I remember I went to like a talk given by this guy. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he's very famous as like an explorer. And like his mission was to map the oceans. And he was like, we're all like focused on going up to the stars. And there's so much like financing going to that. And this was, I don't know, 20 years ago. But like what my goal is to map the ocean. That's most of the earth. And I know James Cameron was very involved with him in that mission as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, $2 billion grossing films, you can do that sort of thing.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will personally finance deep sea exploration.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So there's that. He has 4 children, but he also has 4 upcoming Avatar sequels this year in 2027.
He has many sequels coming up as children. That's great.
Exactly. He is making the Avatar franchise whether we want it or not.
Hasn't the sequel been coming out for about 10
Since
13
2011.
years? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
10 years. Is it actually coming out this year?
He says so.
Okay.
But, I mean, he's been saying so for 10 years. Apparently, so the sequel is called The Way of Water. These are standalone sequels. They will feature some characters from other ones and some not. Obviously, it's not Avatar 2.
Okay.
It's Avatar : The Way of Water.
So it's like in the universe, but not necessarily connected in terms of story.
Yeah, I think he's bouncing around in terms of timeline as to when the stuff happens. Some of the stuff happens a lot later than the first one. Some of it happens closer.
That's a wasted opportunity. The way of what you name it, the wave of water. You go along with the wave. Like, what is he doing?
That's a very dad thing to say, I feel like.
It is. It's good. I guess the weight though that we've all just been on pins and fucking needles about the way of water, right, guys?
The wave of water.
The wave of water.
He's going to change it after hearing
Avatar : The Wave of Water. It's been about the technology, trying to get the motion capture to work with the underwater in the way that James Cameron wants. So that's supposed to be the end of this year. It's supposed to be. Kind of doubt it. Haven't heard anything about it. But hey, he might prove us wrong.
And I just checked IMDb. It says it's slated for release in 2022.
Yeah, there you go. It's already moved. So the one after that, so because Disney has acquired Fox, which owns Avatar, is that they're going to do an Avatar movie every other year. And in between years, they're going to do a Star Wars movie. So that every year, at the end of the year, there's going to be a big event thing. Star Wars, Avatar. Star Wars, Avatar. Okay.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, so 2023 is going to have Squadrons, I think. Star Wars Squadrons with Patty Jenkins directing.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman fame. And the year after that, we're going to get Avatar: The Seed Bearer. Not a good title. One of the worst titles I've ever heard in my life. The Seed Bearer.
Interesting.
It's about a pregnant woman. I'm calling it.
Apparently, it might actually be about actual seeds. That is the speculation.
No, that's even worse. That's
actual
way worse.
seeds. Yeah.
Is it going to be like an Ants type film?
That would be great. Woody Allen starring in Avatar 3.
Seeds just like in a bag talking to each other.
The fourth one is called I think it's called the Tolkien Writer, Tulkin Writer. Don't know what that is.
Again, Tolkien, Rolkin, Jolkin, Smolkin, whatever.
Spelled differently.
Like that's the way it should have been.
That's right.
The what? The Tolkien?
I think it's what it is.
What?
It's Avatar meets Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh.
Finally.
Tolkien, Rolkin, Jolkin, Vulcan's universe?
No, but it's there. And finally, ending in 2027, we have The Quest for Iwa. Iwa.
Huh.
I'm looking at Jesse's face right now. Jesse, I'm going to say it one more time. The Quest for Iwa. Nope, I got nothing, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course. I mean, like, that sounds like the quest for Ewoks, so eventually Star Wars and Avatar have to meet.
Oh my gosh. Long time ago in a galaxy far away, it's going to be the Avatar universe as maybe it's the longer time ago in the same galaxy far away.
Yeah. And the Jedis obtain the unobtainium to create lightsabers.
This is how Knights of the Old Republic happens, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't sully Coder with that.
It's here. It's done. It's canon. If you don't,
and they wipe out all the blue people.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the Sith planet.
Except for like Ahsoka Tano, who is like a weird like amalgamation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's the ones that look kind of weirdly like the Avatar people.
There's also like now here's going to be the blend of like the Fifth Element and Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Oh, wow.
Like this is where we get the blue people back.
It's all coming together.
Yep. Called it.
Coming together.
Boom. Anyway, too much time spent on Avatar.
To be clear, we're talking about the movie Aliens. We're talking about James Cameron because he is a director and he's directing all of those wonderful movies that we just named.
And this kind of made him into the guy he is, right? Like not Piranha 2, The Spawning.
No.
This was really the one. Terminator 2. Terminator also.
So he used Terminator as kind of a gambit to get this one.
Really?
Apparently, when he was up for Aliens early in conversation and had made Terminator while he was sort of experimenting with some camera techniques and some ideas that he had that he wanted to put into the movie. And so when Terminator came out and it did very, very well, they came to Cameron and was like, okay, like you have a proof now, you have a concept. But still,
Gotcha.
the negotiations for him to get this were very embattled. That's why it's 1986, a sequel to a movie from 1979.
Yeah.
Like the years have followed and things have happened, but that actually brings together a key player here. His girlfriend at the time, Gail Ann Hurd. Okay. She was very instrumental in getting this going with him. She has one screenwriting credit. I just want to say this, one screenwriting credit on The Terminator. And because she originated the characters, she has a credit on anything the Terminator is in for forever.
Awesome.
So if you look at her IMDb, it's just the Terminator and then Terminator throughout the ages. It's fantastic. She's a really, really good producer, has worked on a ton of stuff. She also later divorced him and married Brian De Palma, which is really funny in the mid-90s.
Wow.
And then married Jonathan Hensley, who did like Die Hard 3, Jumanji, Con Air, The Rock, Armageddon, Gone in 60 Seconds, The Punisher, Gemini Man. He's a big action guy, and she served as producer on a lot of those as well. But Hurd herself brought us The Abyss, Tremors, T2, The Ghost in the Darkness. Do you guys remember that movie?
No.
The Lion movie?
Oh!
The two lions, The Ghost and the Darkness.
Yeah.
And Michael Douglas is in that with Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
And they're like lion hunters that are trying to take down these true-to-life rogue lions. This is a stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, right here. It's awesome. It's awesome. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It is terrifying and awesome. Can't talk more. We'll save it. But she's also like a producer on Hulk, The Punisher, The Incredible Hulk, the new one in the MCU. Also one of the founding producers of The Walking Dead. Like,
really?
Yeah.
So she's had her hand in like everything. Most of the big things that have been around outside of like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Outside of Star Wars has been because of her.
And that's kind of why I want to like name her as a producer. She's someone that gets onto a project and gets it off the ground, gets it moving. It's really cool that she's here. So this movie, though, we're talking about aliens. This one is hard. And this is why I kind of wanted to talk a little bit longer, is that because this is such an iconic movie of the 80s, I think it's actually the first movie that we've covered from the 80s.
Might be.
And it's such a big deal. It influences so much going forward. I just want to make this sort of land and let people know how important this is before we actually talk about the material itself. Written by James Cameron, Walter Hill, and David Giler. We've talked about Walter Hill on a previous episode, Baby Driver. So please go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
David Giler, though, he's a writer of The Parallax View. He's worked with Walter Hill on Southern Comfort. He also wrote The Money Pit, a really fun Tom Hanks movie that I really like. He just works with the Alien franchise, though, a ton. He's on Alien 3, 4, AVP, AVP 2, Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and he passed in December 2020. Also based on characters by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett. But going into who stars in Aliens, guys. Sigourney Weaver.
Weaver.
Jesse, would you like to talk to us for a little bit about Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver basically got her, I guess this isn't her first big break, right? Because she was in Alien, and she got a whopping $30K salary for Alien.
What?
For Aliens, though, James Cameron wouldn't accept anybody else but Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
And Sigourney Weaver's agent found out about that. So for Aliens, she has a $1 million salary.
Wow. A $1 million salary in 1986.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe she only got paid $30,000 for Alien.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No.
She is Alien. Like that's...
She carries the whole movie, and they knew that, so they had to bring her back, and they wouldn't accept any other front runner, just her. Yeah, and she does a phenomenal job. Also, this movie is all about guns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver is notoriously against guns. She hates guns. She also has a bad habit of not reading parts of the script.
Oh.
So she had no idea this movie had so many guns in it.
This movie is
like that she would
Alien Gun the movie.
Yeah. She didn't think there'd be space marines, or she didn't know that she'd have a flamethrower and a gun and a grenade launcher all thrown in one. And she was really disappointed that she had to shoot it. Hearing her talk about it, she talks so negatively about her using a gun. She's just like, I don't even like guns. You have a weapon and you feel so powerful. Whereas the purpose of like a horror movie or something is like you're struggling without a weapon. You can't be too powerful in it. And like she's like so principally against it. It's really funny. It's really funny that
Wait,
she's
so
in
is she
this
against
movie.
them like on principle because like guns are bad and violent? Is that like her view, or is it because like she thinks that it makes it not a horror movie?
Oh, on principle.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But we know
Um,
Sigourney Weaver from 4 Alien movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know her from Ghostbusters. We know her from Gorillas in the Mist. We know her from Working Girl, Holes. That's a stay tuned, right?
Oh, dig it.
Oh, I've already mentioned Holes, I think.
You have.
Yes, I have mentioned it at
Is
this
that a
point.
bad
That's
movie?
great.
I know.
Stay tuned.
Oh, stay tuned, please.
I can't believe we're doing a stay tuned for Holes.
I can't wait to do Holes, man. I love that movie.
But also Galaxy Quest, Wall-E, Finding Dory, The Village, Avatar, Chappie, which that might just have to be a birthday episode for me.
Please tell me that Galaxy Quest is a stay tuned. I love Galaxy Quest so much.
I do too. Galaxy
So
Quest is
much.
great.
I feel like most of these are stay tuned.
Yeah, and then finally, The Cabin in the Woods. As the director, also a stay tuned, at least for me. If I have to lump all these in, I'm going to have to lump them all in just for like my birthday.
The Sigourney Weaver Day.
But also up here, we have Michael Biehn, who plays our head of the military guy who takes over after certain members are found incompetent. He's a frequent Cameron collaborator, but also a stay tuned himself. He's in The Terminator and The Abyss, but also in Tombstone, The Rock. And I don't know if you guys remember him. In The Mandalorian, episode 13, he plays Lang. This is the episode that introduces Ahsoka Tano. Remember this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the bad guy that's like holding the village kind of hostage.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember him
I
at all.
didn't remember
but yeah.
that.
I just remember when the credits came up and I saw Michael Biehn, it was just the DiCaprio meme where I point at the screen and I said to my wife, "Look, it's Michael Biehn." And she goes, "Who?" It's like, "Oh, it's going to take a really long time to explain." We have Paul Reiser here. Paul Reiser playing the despicable Burke. Prior to this, he's only been in 3 movies. The first one of which, though, was Diner, which I am a really big fan of. I love Diner. But then he's also known for Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. And Whiplash, the dad in Whiplash.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's also in War on Everyone. He was in over 130 episodes of Mad About You. And finally, guys, the one that I think probably clinches it for everyone. He's in Stranger Things. Right?
Yeah.
You know him. He's the big bad boss in Stranger Things. I think is that season 2 he comes in? Or is that season 1?
Don't remember him in
Don't
Stranger
remember him
Things
at
at
all.
all.
Yeah, he's like the evil scientist. He's in a whole season.
Oh, yeah.
Not the
That's
Russian
him?
scientist.
No,
There's
that's
so many scientists in Stranger
him.
Things.
yeah.
He's like the...
He's the really
Eleven's,
nice
like,
scientist
dad.
that's like an asshole.
Eleven's like dad, sort of?
Yeah, that is him. I think that is him. Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Season
That's
one,
why
then.
he's so familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that one is the Duffer Brothers who are like, we need him to play himself from Aliens.
Yeah.
Because it's the same guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
So Paul Reiser, last guy I want to mention that's in the cast is our guy Lance Henriksen, because he's Kerchak in Tarzan. He's the dad gorilla.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The android bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse's
Yeah.
thinking.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to place that voice. I still can't place it, but that's amazing. Yeah, I like that guy.
Also, General Shepard from Modern Warfare 2.
Wow. That's a deep cut.
Do you remember
I
General
guess.
Shepard though?
Vaguely.
He's the general that like that's like your buddy and then like betrays you.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yes.
That was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. And you kill him by throwing the knife at
I
the
felt
end.
so much more emotion at that than I have in any Call of Duty video game.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Did you ever finish that one, Jesse?
No, never finished it. I think I played through the first few missions.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And then, but also he's like in Dog Day Afternoon, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Right Stuff. He's also in The Terminator, Alien 3, The Quick and the Dead, Powder, Pumpkinhead. Like he's around. Everyone knows Lance Henriksen, if not by name, by face. But Pumpkinhead actually brings me into talking about Stan Winston. Okay. So this guy, he is the father of all the practical effects that we love.
Really?
He does The Thing. He does this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
He does Jurassic Park. Stan Winston Studios is a big reason why Weta Studios from Peter Jackson for The Lord of the Rings comes into being.
Really? I didn't know that.
Stan Winston is the man behind the animatronics looking real.
That's really cool. Thank you, Stan Winston.
Yeah, and it's for this, like, he gets the Academy Award for it.
Yeah.
Because he found a way to make the aliens not look bad.
Yeah, they look really good.
Yeah, and it's like a combination of animatronic work, combination of puppetry, and that's sort of his wizardry. He's like the R-rated Jim Henson, you know? Just to call back to a previous Muppets movie episode.
Dude, watching some scenes, how they made like the face huggers work. There's this one scene in particular where Ripley's being chased by one, right? And they made it such that it rolls on a wheel, and when it rolls on the wheel, all its little legs go crazy. So it looks like it's crawling.
Yeah.
And then it jumps onto a leg. They had to shoot that in reverse, and they pulled it away from the leg of a table, and they shot. So it looks like it's jumping, and then they cut to another scene where it's jumping toward the camera. And like these three scenes together, like with this little animatronic puppet and plastic, makes it look real. It's amazing. Like for this whole movie, I'm so used to CGI effects that I actually felt super pulled in, unlike I normally do in like movies of the past 20 years. It's really well done.
It's so cool.
And he's the master at that. Like, he's the one that made us care about a T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You know, like he worked so hard to give these plastic frames built around, you know, PVC pipe emotion. So he wins Best Visual Effects at the 59th Academy Awards. He's up against Little Shop of Horrors and Poltergeist 2. This movie was also nominated for film editing, which it lost to Platoon. Also nominated for Best Art Direction, which it lost to A Room with a View. It was nominated for Best Sound, which it lost to Platoon again. It won for Sound Effects Editing, which is an award we don't really give out anymore. And it was nominated for Original Score, which it lost for Round Midnight by Herbie Hancock. I have neither heard of that man nor that movie.
I have not either. It's
Jesse,
okay. You're in a good...
Are you listening to Round Midnight often?
No, only around midnight.
Oh. And it was also nominated for Sigourney Weaver as Best Actress, which she loses to previous mention on also the Baby Driver episode, Marlee Matlin for Children of a Lesser God. For now, the only deaf person to have won.
That's right. She was in the Oscars, right? She was the one who was announcing for best, I don't know, a couple of things. She announced in it.
Yeah, Marlee Matlin did announce. The score was done by James Horner. James Horner is a fun guy. He is a guy that if I were to read the list of possible dad movies that he has done, we would be here for a very long time, so I will not. But
Field of Dreams is on there, just to be like, this is very much, he's a dad.
Well, also looking here, it looks like in 1996, he's nominated for both Apollo 13 and Braveheart.
Oh my God.
Has that ever happened before?
I'm sure it has. It is an achievement, though. So this year, though,
like
also
Trent Reznor got nominated this year for
Mank and Soul.
Mank and Soul.
Yep.
Different category, but
same category.
Same category, yeah. Okay.
Same category.
Yeah.
But this year that Aliens comes out, he's also nominated for Best Original Song for Somewhere Out There from An American Tale.
Yeah, okay, I'm not going to sing it.
We also have Field of Dreams. We have Titanic. He's also nominated for Best Original Song for My Heart Will Go On. A Beautiful Mind, Avatar. I'm just gonna just cherry pick some of the stuff that he's done. He's nominated for Glory. Okay. The Rocketeer. He is nominated for Jumanji. There's Jumanji. Wow. The Mask of Zorro, Mighty Joe Young, Bicentennial Man, The Perfect Storm. He's nominated.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Same year. Okay, also Windtalkers and The Four Feathers, same year. He has 4 Academy Award nominations in 2003. Like, this guy is legendary.
Yeah. How the Grinch Stole Christmas does have a good score.
Apocalypto.
It does, you're right.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, James Horner did pass. He has a couple movies that came out posthumously, including Southpaw, The 33, and the remake of The Magnificent Seven. He died in a plane crash. Gone too soon, for sure. But he is known as one of the most, his score for Aliens is one of the most frequently used scores for film trailers. It's been used for like Minority Report or From Dusk Till Dawn, Man on Fire. Like, look at this list. All these movies, this one soundtrack has been used in the trailer music for.
Yeah. Also, he wrote this soundtrack I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
It was an absurdly short amount of time, and the climax he wrote overnight.
Yep.
Like, he had no time. In fact, like, he thought this was a rush project and that this was like badly directed, so he never wanted to work with James Cameron again. And I don't think he did until he worked with him on Titanic.
And there comes the Oscar.
And there comes the
Just really quick, I want to shout out that this was Sigourney Weaver's first of 3 Oscar nominations. The other 2 came the next year as supporting actress and actress. What were they for? Gorillas in the Mist and Working Girl.
Yep.
I guess it was 2 years later. They were both in 1988.
Supporting and lead.
Supporting and lead, yeah. Which is crazy. It's kind of too bad that she lost for this because, I mean, she is the movie and she does a freaking fantastic job.
Yeah. Yeah, just like Carrie or Frances.
Yeah.
She's the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a movie. But you know who kind of makes her in this movie is Carrie Henn.
Oh,
Like,
who is
Carrie
this?
Henn.
Who's Carrie Henn?
Carrie Henn. This is her only movie. She is the little girl Newt. She's not in anything after this. She is currently a school teacher.
Oh, wow.
She's left Hollywood. Yeah. She's out of it. And like, she had a really close relationship with Sigourney on set. Like, they grew really close together. Like, Sigourney basically became her adopted mom. Like, on set, they had like makeup trailers or whatever, like right next to each other. So and there were a lot of, like, I think they said that after everybody left, because they shot everybody's scenes, like the whole Marine Corps scenes first, and then it was just Sigourney and Carrie Henn on set filming day after day after day, because this project went on for a while. And there's a lot of scenes where, you know, Sigourney is like carrying Carrie that, and it went on for like a really long time, which is why I think Sigourney probably should have gotten an award for that, because she has like a grenade launcher on one shoulder and a 9-year-old child wrapped around her, and she's like trying to climb up a ladder. Like, that takes a lot of like strength, and it's really cool that she could do that. But Carrie, I just kind of want to shout her out because there's a lot of child stars. Part of the reason why I hate Hollywood, guys. I think I mentioned that a few times.
Yeah.
And part of that is like what they do to people. But Carrie is somebody where like James Cameron had approached her and was like, "Hey, do you know what this movie is about? You need to watch Alien before I let you be a part of this, because I want to make sure you're not going to be traumatized the rest of your life." And
so watch this terrifying movie called Alien and see if you're traumatized.
And she wasn't. She laughed at it the whole time.
Really?
Because she was 8.
She was 8.
she thought it was funny. So I guess if we ever do like a dad movie segment on Carrie Henn, it's got to be like 8 years old. Apparently, that's when it's appropriate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and she just turned out. And it seems like all the cast and crew looked out for her, made sure she had a good time on set, and that was it.
That's awesome.
And she's lived a normal life ever since. So, like, shout out for something good happening in Hollywood in a blockbuster. That's cool.
That's amazing.
I agree. I love that. And she has a striking resemblance to my own daughter that I really felt watching this. This is the first time I've rewatched this movie since my daughter was born, and now that my daughter is a little over 3.5. She has the same hair. She has a lot of the same facial expressions. My wife was always pointing out she's got that perfect, like, tight mouth, scared kid expression. I felt so much deeper in this movie because Carrie Henn is delivering a good scared kid performance.
Yeah.
There's screaming, but there's also just a lot of like traumatized silence.
Yeah.
It's very believable. I loved her performance, and, you know, happy for her that she didn't get sucked into Hollywood the way some people do.
But an interesting,
sad that way I don't get to see more.
Yeah. An interesting counterpoint, though, to the sort of stoic, quieter performance that Carrie Henn gives. There's another guy in this cast who's a little off the chain hook, as you might say. Would you say that, Mike?
I might say that.
I think you'd say that. I think I've heard you say that.
I might say off the chain hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
I'm not going to rise to whatever this is.
That's fair.
It's Al Matthews.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So Al Matthews, if he's Lieutenant Apone.
Lieutenant
Apone, right? He's the guy who, when they first wake up from their, like, I don't know,
Hypersleep.
The hypersleep. Thank you. That's the word. The hypersleep, and he immediately shoves a cigar in his mouth. It's amazing. Like, I love this character. This character is so funny. Like, Apone is a guy who's just like, oh, it's another glorious day in the Corps.
Where every meal is a banquet, every paycheck is a treasure.
And he's the quintessential 80s Marine. And what was funnier to me is seeing Al Matthews, a guy who plays Apone, talk about his time on set. He's the same guy. Like, he's a Vietnam vet. He talks about how, like, people had their fingers on the trigger of their fake guns and how he wanted to shove the guns down people's throats because you never do that.
Trigger discipline, baby.
And also, like, weird story on set. There's that whole scene where they're, like, on an APC going to Earth, right? And everything's shaking. The whole set piece is actually shaking and the roof fell off.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and it grazed Sigourney Weaver, and they thought they were all going to die. And Al Matthews gets up and starts ordering people around. He makes them like he's the only one who had control of himself. He basically becomes a military man and gets everybody out to safety and saves everybody's lives. So Al Matthews, the Marine, acted as a Marine on set and saved everybody. And I just think it's so funny. Like, this guy is himself in real life. He's just how you see him on screen. It's great.
Yeah, he gives Arlie Ermy like a run for his money. You know what I mean? In terms of a Marine playing a Marine. I just love when he says, "Let's move it, ladies and gentlemen. Assholes over elbows. Let's go." Oh,
so great.
All right. So now that we've covered everyone that's worked on this, been involved with this, slightly touched it or looked at it on a street corner, we should go into some of our nostalgia for this. Like, where did we come at this from? How do we feel about it? And what do we think now? Mike, you want to go?
Yeah, I will. I'm almost troubled to say this was the first time I've actually seen this movie in full. I've seen parts of it over the years, like on TV or because someone was watching it. And I was like, this looks interesting, but I don't know. Somehow I just never got around to it. And since 1986, I didn't have enough time to watch one of the best movies of all time. It's really awesome. I loved it. I'd never seen any of the Alien franchise until this year.
That might even be a wilder claim.
Yeah, I know, right? But I'm a completionist, right? So it's like, as I'm like, you know, a teenager or whatever, Aliens versus Predators.
You have some rough times ahead of you, buddy.
No. and so like friends would go see it, like, no, I haven't seen the first one yet, you know? And so I finally am getting around to it. It's so cool. I missed out. Very excited. I'm also very excited to hear about the actual nostalgia that both of you have for this movie.
Well, I've got some nostalgia. It's nostalgia not particularly for this movie, because I did see this movie. I have nostalgia like with my dad and brothers watching these movies when I was growing. I think I was like, I don't know, 11 or 12 or whatever. Right as my brothers were teenagers and they were getting into this. And my dad, this is nostalgic for him because, you know, he lived through the 80s and he kind of likes these movies because they, in his words, they broke up what sci-fi was at the time. Like, sci-fi was all about like chrome-plated like spaceships that all looked really nice and clean, and or even like Star Wars. Like, even though that does have like some grimier sort of sets, all has a very clean look to it. And this is like grimy, like real down-to-earth stuff brought up in space. Like, if this were real, this isn't a stretch to say that all of this would actually happen in the future, right?
Yeah.
So apparently it just had a different impact on him. And obviously this story is, I don't know, like, this isn't, I was thinking today about like sci-fi stories and how often we get like a sci-fi story that's just here to tell us that just uses technology to make to tell a different kind of story, rather than like make a grand point about culture or a grand epic sweeping tale of families and feuds and all that like Star Wars is. And we just have this neat little horror movie in Alien, right? And then like this intense action sequel, which is far different, but functions almost as well in terms of terror, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
and yeah, it's so believable. I remember really liking it as a kid, like being like really really frightened by this, but in the best way. This is like I just had terror watching it. It's not like I had nightmares about it afterwards, but this is the stuff that haunts your like daydream, so to speak. Like you're just like expecting this weird little. If you imagine something horrible, it's a monster popping out from behind like a crawl space, and this is that, and this is Aliens is that done to an extreme. So yeah, I've got quite a bit of nostalgia for all this, but I also haven't seen this movie in full in like 10 years. This was great. It was great to revisit this. How about you, Vito? Where are you coming at this from?
So on a previous episode, I don't remember which one. Maybe a listener can please comment on one of our socials as to which one it was if you remember. I brought up this segment that I wanted to do if another one came along. This was one of the movies that my dad told me about when we were camping in my bedroom. When we had a tent.
Vito's tent nights.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. You remember.
That's from the It episode. Yeah.
There it is. Thank you.
There it is. It.
Man, that was bad. Oh, it killed Jesse.
Killing Jesse. It's killing Jesse.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
But this is the first one since then, our It episode that happened way back as our Halloween special back in October. Yeah, this is one that I heard about a lot that I was never told the title for. This along with the original Alien. So whenever we get to that one, we'll talk about it. This one was really big for me. I didn't see it when I was a kid, but oh, you're still laughing. It's still killing you. Jesse, it is still stabbing Jesse to death.
It really shouldn't be. I think it's done. It's done. It's done.
Take another drink.
Yeah, clink those ice cubes. So for that, though, I have a lot of space in my heart for this. My dad loves both Alien and Aliens, I think pretty equally. We never watched them together. I watched them both in college, late high school. And yeah, I love this movie. And what's funny is that I've always preferred Alien to this one. And even still on this latest rewatch, I still do. I love Alien so much. But what I love about this movie is that it's such a weird sequel in as much as the first Alien is all these crew members up against one alien. Just one. And that is the most dogged, will not die monster.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It will, just like Predator, it will not die. Nothing you do is affecting this thing.
Yeah.
You have to blast it out of an airlock, which is not to say you killed it. It just means that you just shot it out into space where it cannot be your problem anymore.
It's somebody else's problem now.
And even when it's in space, it still like tries to climb onto the spaceship. Remember?
Yeah.
Like this is the most dogged, determined organism in the known universe. And so for the sequel, they say, what if there's like 100?
Well, okay, wait. But to back up a little bit, because it almost sounds like you're blaming continuity and plot between the first and the second. But in the first one, right, don't they try to not shoot it because it has acid blood that will leak through the ship? And
This
they
is
don't
true.
want holes in their ship.
This is true.
Yeah.
Which is very smart. But even there, like the ordinance that they have does not in any way resemble the ordinance in this movie.
Not at all. No. They have
no
explosive shells.
Yeah. So what you would do is you would wound it and then it would bleed all over the place. And now everyone is going to die because the acid blood leaks out through the hull. Right. It's the same sort of thing that this movie so smartly does in The Reactor, where they say you can't use live rounds or like we're going to be in trouble. But that being my nostalgia for this, and I've always held it up as like a sequel that did it right. Similarly with like T2, where it takes the original movie and almost completely changes genres. Like this is still kind of a horror movie, not really. It's more of an action movie, more of a war movie. Like Terminator stops being like a horror thriller and just turns into a straight up action movie for the summer.
Yeah.
And I think that James Cameron is so smart about that. And I've always looked at life kind of in movies through the lens of the James Cameron. And this movie is very much influential for that. That's my nostalgia for it.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that these are, this and T2 are some of the best sequels of all time, right?
I would agree.
Like, obviously there's a Godfather Part 2, but then like...
What else stacks up to those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of how this like works as a sequel, I think it's really fun that it kind of disregards a lot of the original claustrophobia from the first movie and just like instead opens it up.
Yeah, it uses it a little bit in that scene in the reactor, but for the most part, it's like we are out in the world. We're not shut in on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it uses the corridors really well. It uses the air vents, but in all, it's really, it almost seems like it's always expanding the ideas of that original one. Yeah, I think is T2 the best analogous thing to this? Like, we're not seeing this sort of thing with Marvel, you know?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, I'd say each Marvel movie expands on the universe
It gets
very,
bigger.
very effectively.
Yeah.
Very strategically, maybe, for market share or something.
Yeah.
I don't think this is doing that.
I'm not sure if we're ever going to do. Well, obviously, we can't do a whole series on the Alien or Well, maybe we could do a whole series on Terminator. That would be that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
I would feel that one out. Yeah.
Yeah, but like obviously, we're not going to do that in Aliens because here we are doing Aliens and not the other 3,
7,
4, 5, 7. Yeah, I don't know how many there are.
I have a contender here for best sequel. Maybe series of sequels. I'd say I would contend that maybe, well, one sequel that I know of that does a very that does expand the universe. I don't know if it's good or bad. Is Pirates of the Caribbean 2: Dead Man's Chest? I'd say the universe got a lot bigger, and the genre really changed in Pirates 2.
What I would say is that the world got bigger, and there's a lot in it.
But then in 3 it got to be less in it.
Yeah. No, I'm flipping it. I'm flipping it from the third one. Come on, I don't know how to explain that to you. Come on.
Okay.
I think you're right, but the thing is that the second one is the same genre as the first one.
Yes, yeah.
And this one, it doesn't seem that way, which is also kind of like why we're doing this one again, like we did the Hellboy 2. Why we're doing this one first is because it just seems like an entirely different kind of movie, right, Jesse?
Oh, yeah. I think one day we're going to do the Alien movie, except it'll be like movies on spaceships series, which I can't wait to do.
I know. Maybe soon, since we're so excited about it. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
I love vessels.
That's Mike's weigh-in. I love vessels.
I love that.
I wonder if we'll do something having to do with vessels anytime soon. I'm just plugging our next series. It's going to be Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's going to be Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's coming up really soon. Just plugging it. Just trying to get it in there.
All right, Mike, you did the plug, but when will you show this to your kids, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I did not show it to them yet.
Way.
I thought about the donut, like the age donut, and I thought, I didn't know if this would fall into it.
The age donut is like when they're newborn, and when they're 1 year old, now we've crossed.
I don't know if it's even.
Yeah. So hold on, in case nobody knows what the age donut is.
The
age donut is when you want to show it to your kids at a certain age range, and then there's another age range after that you don't want to show it to them. So say you want to show it to them between 0 and 1, and then not show it to them from 1 to 14, and then from 14 onward you want to show it to them. That is our age donut.
I don't think I'm watching this with a newborn, to be quite honest. Like, this does not seem like the sort of movie that puts them to sleep, which is when I would be watching a movie like this with my newborn.
We might have to check back in the future on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
My daughter and Daredevil beg to differ.
Indeed. My daughter and all the Dirty Harry movies also beg to differ.
That's awesome. Well, we'll see. We'll see in the future. We'll check back in on this someday. But I'd say like 14-ish probably is when I'd show it. I'd show that to like a son. I don't know about my daughters. Like at least my elder daughter, like I don't know when she's going to be ready to see this. She might never be. She might always just be like, I don't know. This is like the kid factor changes it a little bit. Like it makes it more
real.
Yeah. I mean, because Carrie Henn did such a great job of being a kid in this situation. But like, I want them to see this. I really want to be able to be like, like, yeah, this is a movie that I watch with my kids, or like I show them, like, yeah, Aliens is cool. Like, it would be awesome if my daughter's at like 16 or something, they're like, oh, dude, I just watched Aliens with my dad. Like, my dad's so cool. We watch Aliens together,
Right.
you know? But yeah, what about you, Jesse?
I think you're right. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm really torn. Like my daughter, I'm not sure if she'll ever watch this, but my son,
Yeah.
like my 2-year-old who likes to wrestle in rocks and laugh while he does it.
What a sociopath.
Maybe he'll be ready at 3. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow he'll be ready to watch Aliens. Yeah, that kid is something else. But yeah, he definitely has a higher tolerance for this sort of thing than my daughter does. So like, I'm almost tempted to say like 10 or 11 with him.
Sick.
And now that I look back, I think I was 10 or 11 because, and the reason why I remember this, because when I was 10 or 11, I was kind of embarrassed by the little girl, like, because I kind of had a crush on her.
Oh.
So when I was 10 or 11, that happened, and that I had that sort of reaction. So I think I was kind of young, and I turned out okay. So I would say my son could watch that at 10 or 11. But yeah, my daughter probably never. I'm giving up on action horror, whatever, with her. It's just never going to happen.
For the time being.
No, it's like my wife. My wife she fell asleep during this one.
Oh my gosh.
How do you
like
fall asleep?
she doesn't care, period. So she just falls asleep. It's like, all right, well, I'm sort of into this because there's a girl, and then she goes to bed.
Oh,
happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Happy Mother's Day, Liz, we love you. My wife did not watch this. She was like, "You're watching Aliens. I am going to bed."
Coward. She also won't listen to this, so I'll never have to answer for that.
Happy Mother's Day, Mary Claire.
Happy Mother's Day, Mary Claire.
Happy Mother's Day, Mary Claire.
Future guest.
You didn't watch the movie.
Jesse, I wonder. I mean, like, I wonder how much of a factor the fact that like you were the youngest, or the younger son with a couple of older brothers. Like how much that played into your being like ready to see it or something like that. Like it seems like movies like with older families with like kind of a wider scale in the ages of their kids, like the younger kids definitely see stuff before the older kids do.
Like more than 3 kind of kids.
Yeah. I wonder if that played into it. But then again, like with your son, like I don't know, maybe it's just something that like it's personalities very much too.
It does factor in because like when you have older siblings who watch it with you, you can figure out like how you're supposed to react to things. Like like I noticed that with my kids too. Like if my oldest daughter is traumatized by something, then my son pretends like he is too, even though he's not really. It's also vice versa. If one of them says like, "Oh, this isn't that scary," then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's not that scary." So like me watching this with my brother, it's like, "Oh yeah, this isn't that bad." Like it's just somebody who's had their torso punctured by a tail all the way through.
You're kind of like feeling the room.
You're like looking around like, is anyone else like disgusted and traumatized? No, we're laughing. Oh,
we're good with this. Okay, everyone's
gonna laugh.
Only you do it wholeheartedly, not half-heartedly. You're like, true. Because when you're a kid, you look around and you say, how should I react to this? Right? Because I have a reaction, but is this right? Am I like jiving with the world as it should be jived with? I guess that is a weird way to phrase that.
Gotta jive.
But, yeah, you gotta jive. You gotta jive with it. But yeah, you're always looking at how to react. At least for me, that's how I was. And I think my kids are acting like that too. Anyway, Vito, when would you show it to your kids?
I probably go in between you guys. So my daughter has a fascination with monsters. I think I've shared this on a previous episode. She loves monsters. She bothers me most days about watching Pirates of the Caribbean because she wants to see the Kraken, because I listen to the soundtrack a lot. And she asks about, what is this? And I'm like, oh, this is the scene when the Kraken shows up. She goes, what's the Kraken? I said, well, it's a giant monster that lives in the ocean. She goes, how big is it? I'm like, well, it's big enough it can swallow a ship. She goes, how big is the ship? Like there's this like constant escalation of questions where she's sort of gauging the enormity of said monster. And she is very fascinated by it. So she loves monsters. The first thing she asks, so my wife and I, okay, We watch this movie. We're in our living room. My daughter's room abuts the living room. Sometimes I know that she can hear the movie through the wall.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll like wait a little bit just to make sure that she's asleep before we turn the movie on. So we watch this movie. The next morning, she comes out asking a lot of questions about Alien. Specifically, like, was the movie you were watching called Alien? What was the alien? What is a alien? Is it a monster? Is it scary? Can I watch it? She's asking, like, because I'm playing a lot of Hans Zimmer because we're doing, guess what? We're doing Pirates of the Caribbean next. I've been listening to a lot of Hans Zimmer music. I'm listening to Rango a lot. And she's asking me on a daily basis, Daddy, can I watch Rango? My daughter is fearless when it comes to movies. She just wants to watch anything that we're watching that we think is really cool. So for her, this sort of thing, like, I'm pumped to do this at 11 or 12. I think that she is primed. I think she's ready. We're watching the Superman animated show right now. Like, I'm picking and choosing some episodes and not some episodes. I'm watching them with her and like talking about what's going on. She's into it. She loves this stuff. So I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited to pass this on. Especially one that is so female centric, so pro woman, so pro like Ripley is better than a team of Marines. This is awesome. This is the sort of role model I would love to show to my daughter. So yeah, 11 or 12, somewhere in there, man. I'm ready. I'm down. I can't wait.
Thank you. Your daughter's very cool.
Hold on. Thanks. Everyone, let's pitch it. Now, this is our new segment here. We're trying out.
Pitch it!
Pitch it! You reach down to pitch it and you pitch it.
You pitch it.
Yeah!
How would you pitch this movie to your kids?
Exactly. How would you pitch this? So I'll just start because I think I have the shortest one. So my daughter, this is already sold.
Yeah, you don't need to pitch it at all. Clearly.
So for my daughter, I'm just like, it's a monster. It's dark. It's a little scary. It's a little wacky. Things get a little intense. And this is what the soundtrack sounds like. And my daughter would be like, yeah, let's do it. That's how I pitch it. It's a very easy pitch. I don't have to put too much work into it. I cannot wait until I have a kid that I have to work a little bit harder on. And I'll definitely bring it in future pitch it segments. But Mike, pitch it.
Ooh, this is a tough one. How do I pitch this to... See, I'm imagining pitching it to like my 4-year-old, and she is never going to go for this movie. And I'm like, am I a bad dad for trying to pitch this movie to a 4-year-old? Probably. Like, I shouldn't do that. But, okay, I'm going to pretend that she's like 14 years old. I'm like, all right. And, have we seen the first one?
That's up to you.
Okay, we've seen the first one at this point. So, I mean, I feel like I can kind of go off of that. What I would do, haven't seen the first one. Say, hey, remember how we watched that terrifying movie about the alien who bled acid blood and killed everybody and might not be dead? Imagine that, but with like 100 of that alien. Let's do that. But instead of just Ripley, we've got guns and Marines too. Let's do this. Yeah. Hoorah. And she'd be like, Dad, I don't want to do this again.
The only thing that's different about that pitch from James Cameron's actual pitch is that when he wrote the word aliens on the top of his whiteboard, this is a true story. He literally at the end of his pitch went and put lines through the S to make a dollar sign. That's the only thing different about that pitch. Alien with a dollar sign, baby.
That's good pitch.
Oh, that's great.
I like that.
That's great.
I like that dollar sign.
Yeah. My pitch is very similar to Mike's. So it's going to be to my son because I'm never going to get my daughter to watch it. So I got to be like, all right. So you know how we watched one movie about one alien and how hard that was? This is a movie called Aliens. and it has flamethrowers. Are you in? And he's going to say yes.
Yeah.
Because if I heard that pitch, I would really want to see that movie. Because how awesome is that? Finally, they're like, that's what you're thinking the whole time when you're watching Alien. You're like, oh my, it's so, I can't believe there's only one of these things. Like, imagine if there was 100. And there are 100 here.
Yes, there are.
I guess you could just
terrifying.
Go, remember all those eggs?
Yeah.
What do you think happened to them?
That's right.
Oh, that's a good one. That's great.
They're all aliens. I'm just thinking about, do you guys remember that movie Bolt? That really terrible Disney animated movie Bolt with John Travolta as the dog?
Yeah.
My wife has been trying to get me to watch it for 10 years.
I mean, once you finally watch it, you will be really disappointed. It's like I would classify it as semi-entertaining. There's a great moment, though, where they meet these pigeons who are trying to be screenwriters in Hollywood. And their only pitch is like, okay, there's a guy. He's walking along. Okay, normal day for this guy. The other pigeon jumps in. It's like, normal guy. And it's like, okay, but, here's what happens. Boom, aliens. Are you in? And that's kind of how I feel like the pitch for this movie is. Like, not alien. Boom, aliens. Are you in? And you have to answer, are you in or not? It's a good pitch.
Yeah.
Aliens.
I'm in. I am in. Yeah.
I'm not in. Aliens always.
I'm not in.
Entertaining.
But okay. So did we pitch it well? Did we pitch it, Jesse?
Oh, yeah. That's a great pitch.
I
Those are
feel
all
like
great pitches.
you guys are watching it. I'm not. My kids aren't going for it. My
Your youngest
my younger she might be like, yeah, flamethrowers. What is a flamethrower? I could talk about flamethrowers now. She'd be like, I want to see that.
When she's like
I want
8,
one.
you're gonna see some weird browsing history on your computer.
Where to get a flamethrower?
How to make napalm.
Tesla flamethrower.
Yeah.
The Boring Company, please.
Yeah. But maybe we should get into some of our favorite scenes here, if that's good with everyone. Again, maybe just in this roundtable spirit.
We're only an hour and a half in.
Yeah,
Sure,
It's
let's
a
go.
big movie. What do you want? It's a big movie. Okay.
I guess it's an hour and 15. I don't know what it's at after this is edited, but it'll be somewhere like that.
It's long. We're running long. It's okay. Now, okay, so there's 2 versions of this movie. Okay, we got the normal theatrical, and then we have the special edition. There's also another version that's in between both in terms of running time. Okay, so for this episode, I, Vito, watched the special edition. I ponied up the extra money to watch it. I think I own it, but I don't know where it is. And you guys both watched the theatrical?
And I, Jesse, watched the theatrical edition the way it was made to be seen.
Absolutely not.
And I still fed my kids because I didn't give money to evil Hollywood. So there.
I mean,
Wait,
congratulations.
Jesse, how did you what did you use it? Did you watch it using a service of some sort? By any chance?
The Amazon?
Oh yeah,
I
good
think
job.
it's called
You
the
didn't
Amazon.
feed
It's
anybody
run by a
evil.
bunch of women.
You didn't get
They're all bald.
Wonder Woman's actually
The
it's
Amazon.
actually Wonder Woman's
I
company.
mean, Fern packaged the DVD for you. Yeah.
Michael, also watched the theatrical version. I thought, because it was very late when I started it, and even later when I ended it, that it was the special edition. And I thought that I had somehow come across an incredible deal where it was just free on Amazon. But I was wrong. It was just the theatrical cut.
So James Cameron.
Free if you pay $100 for Amazon
Once a
Prime.
year, you know what's basically free.
I spent that money last year around this time.
Netflix is like really messing up. They should give a yearly thing, and then we'll all be like, "It's free on Netflix." What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But
Audible just came out with, just total non sequitur. Audible just
gosh.
came out with a yearly subscription plan, and I'm like this close to getting it because you just get like 12 credits immediately, and then you can just like buy whatever you
we're
like.
nearer and nearer to the dystopian universe where money just turns into credits.
Yeah.
Like every sci-fi movie.
No. Dogecoin.
Dogecoin.
To the
To the moon.
To the moon. Diamond hands.
I'm a hodler.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This just went down a rabbit hole.
So the special edition and the normal edition, it's about 20 minutes different.
Okay.
About 20 or so in there. Now, there's one really notable scene that we get that happens right before Sigourney Weaver Ripley walks into the hearing where she is taken, her flight officer status is taken from her.
Okay.
What happens in that scene is between her and Paul Reiser, where Paul Reiser tells her what happened to her daughter.
Oh.
It's incredibly affecting. It's deeply compelling. She finds out that her daughter died 3 years previous at the age of I think, 57.
Wow.
And she sees a picture of her. And the picture, this is just like a weird little fun fact, the picture is actually of Sigourney Weaver's mother. But in the movie, it functions really beautifully because the theatrical version is like it's moving, it's moving, it's moving. It's like getting you to the next piece very artfully, incredibly quickly. But this special edition lets it really breathe. Like the first hour, like nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's just a slow escalation of tension. It's building character moments. It's trying to do what the first Alien did, or what Jaws does, where it really builds up to seeing that final conflict, to seeing what becomes almost like the nightmare of the final hour. So
that's fascinating. I read a Roger Ebert review of this movie, and I think his only criticism, like he said, he left feeling sick. He like
it's gross.
He has to recommend it. He's like, this is a great movie, and I feel sick. But his only like real criticism, I think, was that it didn't even pay lip service to the fact that everyone she knew is dead.
Yeah,
which is fascinating. That in the intended way, it was made.
And the boardroom sequence that she has is also extended. There's like numerous, like pretty much every time it reflects upon Ripley as a character, it is longer in the other cut, James Cameron's desired cut to show to people.
Yeah, I want to go see that now.
One of the scenes, though, which is my favorite scene, is the guns in the hallway scene. They set up these automated sentries in these specific blocked off corridors. Now, it's a little bit longer in the version that I watched because it does a lot more of you watching the ammo counter go down. It shows less aliens getting splattered and more of the stress of these people sitting in this room, sweating, knowing that if these guns fail, they have to face down the army of xenomorphs that are coming for them. And they're just watching these. They're counting them down. They're like every 5, they're announcing it. Like 305, 300, 295, 290. And brr, 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 and like it keeps it every time it goes back to them. It's just shows the guns firing and the counter going down. And it's only at the second corridor, once it get down to like below 100 bullets, that it starts to actually show like some aliens really popping. I thought that was really masterful. I felt so tense.
Yeah.
Now, to be very clear, I don't think gun sentries make their way to the theatrical version whatsoever.
No.
Really?
No.
That's gone.
Holy shit.
It's not there.
Yeah.
Then I've never seen the theatrical version. I've seen this movie like 4 times.
Wow. Yeah.
Really?
Is this like in the final showdown when they're all in like the med bay or the ops room? They're in the
my gosh. Okay. Oh shit. Okay. No. So they come up with this idea for a trap to reduce the number of aliens coming at them.
Wow.
So what they do is
there's a whole plot.
They do this whole it's right after it's right after a lot of them go. So it's like Hudson. It's when Michael Bihn's character kind of takes the helm as the leader. Burke has been sidelined, and they're regrouping kind of, and they decide that they're going to block off these 2 separate passageways to like funnel the aliens in. And these aliens come in and you don't really see them. They just show them priming the sentries, and they're watching the automated turret display, and you're watching, they each have like 500 rounds, and you're just watching the guns fire, and it cuts back to the computer as the rounds count down, and you're hearing the aliens scream in the background as the sentries shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot as they funnel down the number of aliens before the final confrontation. It's a masterful scene.
Yeah. That sounds incredible.
Okay. Just to be clear, in the theatrical version, there's that scene where they go outside and they try to get on board of a spaceship, right? And the spaceship crashes because there's an alien on board. And then they say and then Newt says we have to go back because they come out at night. And then they magically transport to somewhere in that building.
That's probably.
Right, do you remember that?
That's probably where it is. Yeah,
I think they go to like the ops room, which is connected to the med bay. And once they're there, they do block off doors. They try to seal off all entrances.
Yeah, they specifically say they close doors and weld them shut.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of welding in the movie, but there's a specific sequence where they have to weld like some air ducts shut. They have to weld some doors shut. No,
so in the special edition. Okay, so then
it's like a 10-minute scene.
Yeah, well, that sounds like That's where half of the
that really changes the flow though, because like you first see the aliens when they're firing in the bowels of like the cocoons, right?
Yeah.
In the alien layer. And then in this movie, you don't see aliens again until like they're all saying Like we see them on our sensors. Where are they? We don't know where they are.
Was that in the?
And then
Yeah.
and then they
Oh, yeah.
and then they check above the ceiling, and they're aliens. That's the first time you really see them again.
Oh, no. So it happens in between those two. It happens right before
Okay.
them seeing them in the ceilings. That's the conclusion of the Sentry, is that these aliens are the ones that are left
Yeah.
from the ones that got taken
that makes
out.
sense. I felt like there was a bit of a jump there, just like in the way it was cut and a couple of things that people said.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No,
wow.
but
So
at
if
that
you
point,
take anything
you
from
were
this podcast, watch the special edition.
Yeah, you're
I don't know.
at that
I
point,
don't
I'm
know.
like
Now-
clenching the edge of my seat because I'm like, how could this get worse?
Yeah.
And it does because they're in the ceiling.
At this, I don't know. I kind of like this theatrical version, but just
I think you should
hearing
probably
it,
watch it though.
Just I probably should, but so should you because you've never seen it.
It's true.
But like I like this. I love the idea that we never see them again until they're in the ceiling, and nobody has any clue where they could possibly be, or what the number is coming at them. Like, you never get a sense that
to be clear,
any
though,
portion has been wiped out.
To be clear, you also don't see them in the gun scene.
It makes you feel like they do, which is like you know that the guns are firing and they're running out of bullets.
Yes.
And you also know that we're not done with the aliens.
Well, like 90% of the scene is watching turrets fire at something you can't see. Like it's not from the point of view of the turrets, it's from the point of view of something looking at the turrets. And then it cuts to them looking at a laptop screen watching a bullet counter go down. And then it cuts to the turrets again. And the sense is that there's something happening that we don't know. And it's only at the last 10% that we just see some quick cuts of one or two aliens like exploding. But it's very like boom and you miss it. Anyway, that's my favorite scene. We spent a little bit too long on it, but I did not even know that you guys hadn't even seen my favorite scene.
That's wild. That's so cool.
Not even close.
Oh man. I think my favorite scene is oh gosh. It's kind of hard, but I think it's got to be the scene when Ripley and Newt are stuck in the med room.
Oh, yeah.
After the evil dude lets the facehuggers free.
Burke.
Yeah.
Burke, the asshole.
Burke, the evil dude who you like almost all the way up until he reveals that he's actually evil.
When she looks out the window and sees her gun outside.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that's the only moment of like true horror in the movie.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And it works so well. I was sweating because like I knew that no one was going to die before that point, other than like the few Marines
red shirts
here and there. Yeah, the red shirts. Like you know, all the Marines are going to die. But there, I thought Newt was going to die. Like I was like, I don't think that this girl's going to make it. I didn't think she was going to make it at all. So that was the first of a couple scenes when I was terrified for her. But yeah, it did me in, man. I was terrified, but then it felt so good when they defeat the freaking facehuggers, man. Those things are so scary.
They're so much scarier than the xenomorph. Like so much
scarier. They're so like the xenomorphs will kill you in absurdly like gruesome ways, but those things will hurt you and like they won't kill you. I mean, they'll kill you eventually, but it
takes a while.
Live long enough to remember how awful it was.
To birth an alien. That's how long
and
you
then
live.
You birth an alien. Yeah. Well, no, because you come back. Like you wake up and
wake up and then you birth it.
Yeah.
Like you live long enough to remember the facehugger, remember the implantation of the egg in your chest, and then have it explode out of you.
Yeah.
John Hurt style. That's a great scene. That was my second place.
Yeah.
I love though when Hudson like pins the one against the wall with the bookshelf on his tail and just shoots it like a million times. I was like, yeah, fuck you, alien hugger. I hate you.
Right after they told us that they were limited on shells, too. Like that was great.
Just
like,
shoot it 40 times.
This seems like a good use of your ammunition.
Yeah.
Well, they also have at this point. I don't really think they have a lot of rationale going on for what they're doing. They're panicking. They're fighting for their lives.
Well, and he is.
They see the enemy. Yeah.
Game over, man. Game over.
It's kind of amazing also the way that scene begins too, because it starts with, I think the first time, well, we've seen Ripley and Newt kind of connect well, like charismatically, but when Ripley like goes into the room, she's looking around for Newt and she can't find her. She's not in her bed, but the blanket is like draped over the side, and she lifts it up and Newt's down there. And like for me, like that just made me think of my daughter. Like my daughter does that. Like she loves to get under things and like, but like obviously Newt's doing it because she's traumatized. Like she can't sleep in the open. She
Yeah.
has to be enclosed. And then Ripley comes and like cuddles up next to her, and that was just so beautiful. But then it just gets so horrific. Like in this moment of, it's almost like in this moment of
In this moment of love, there's horror.
yeah, exactly. Like she lets down her guard a little bit and she leaves the gun on the top, and that's sort of why everything goes crazy.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the horror of motherhood, the fear of motherhood, right?
Yeah,
Your deepest
maybe
nightmares.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also a classic horror moment because like Newt is kind of terrifying almost, especially as a dad, because like she is somebody who's gone through something truly traumatic, and they played it out really well.
Oh yeah.
And like right now, my daughter does this thing where she hides under the covers where she's very obviously there. But
yeah.
she loves to do the thing where like, you know, we say, "Oh, where are you?" And she's like, "Here I am." It's such a classic little kid thing to do. And so for them to add that into this movie, but to do it instead of because of childhood silliness, to do it because of childhood trauma, makes it like way more heartfelt.
I was also thinking that maybe she's just more comfortable. I mean, she's just been sleeping in that like air vent.
Yeah.
Like she just likes maybe just the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, like not saying that anything you're saying is wrong, but like, you know, like we see this with some soldiers that come back.
Yeah.
You sleep on the ground. It's comfortable for you to be there.
Yeah.
Well, I think in general, like you'd say that's a result of trauma, whether or not it's
Or conditioning.
Okay, I guess conditioning too. I mean, I think in her case, like she wouldn't have slept that way if her family hadn't been killed, and
unless they all slept on boards.
Yeah.
I mean, I slept on a wooden plank in college, so
That's true. I mean, I did as well.
What?
But the thing is, like, she could have slept.
What is wrong with you people? I love my comfortable bed. I love comfort. I'm a big fan of it.
No, not for me.
It's actually very much about conditioning, because, like, after a few months, you're like, oof. Spring, like anything with a mattress is like uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and like only the floor. Yeah,
floors
only
were
the floor
You know, I
works.
went camping a while ago, which is Vito's favorite thing to do, and like best sleep in my life, just on the ground.
Yeah. So what are you doing knocking it?
Maybe I should get the old board out and sleep on that.
Like you have a sleeping board. Come on, Jesse and I have sleeping boards.
The wife will say.
But the thing is with her is like she doesn't even go onto the ground. She has to go underneath to the farthest end of the bed.
She hides
underneath the bed. Yeah, it's very much about hiding.
What's your favorite scene, Jesse?
So that's my close second. But my favorite scene has to be the first confrontation with the Queen.
Nice.
Like she's just running, and she's running through these eggs, like carrying Newt and the gun. And then she stops, and you notice something is weird about this place because there are so many eggs. And the music stops. She turns, and she sees an egg being laid on the ground, and she follows the funnel of that egg sack.
It's so disgusting.
It's so long and so gross, like all the way back to the xenomorph queen. And then they both just look at each other, and all the other xenomorphs crawling on the walls also stare at Ripley for a while. And she has her gun pointed at the Queen. Like, she can shoot, but she chooses not to. Instead, she slowly backs away, and there's this, like, silent negotiation going on. Like, you call your soldiers off, and you don't kill me, and we will both walk away from this. And then she suddenly switches and lights everything up with a giant flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so amazing because that's what you want. You're like, no, Ripley, please. These things are evil and you know it. Kill them.
Yep.
And it gives you exactly what you want, but it gives it to you in this really intense, unexpected way. Like, this is the most unexpected scene for me in this entire movie. Like, you never really see this silent negotiation coming. Yeah, it's really well done. I've never seen anything quite like it in another action movie like this.
I have to also say this is the grossest part of the movie when she shoots the grenades into the egg tube,
and it's just like
it
doesn't even like blow up. It's just flat.
And there's this liquid just pouring out. It's such a wet scene. Everything is mucousy, and oozy, and you're like, I want to shower now that I have seen this.
It was really, I think that was my second favorite.
I'm so glad we're all so close.
Yeah,
cool.
It's so cool. Like, it was so, because like she's running, right? She's gotten Newt, like she saved Newt. Spoiler alert from the
we're like almost 2 hours in.
By the way, like, we're gonna talk about spoilers on this episode, everybody. I have to throw it in there somewhere. She's running with Newt, and like, you know that the aliens are nearby. Like you're like, are they gonna get to the elevator in time? And then like there's all this smoke and all this stuff going on, and then the smoke clears, and like you said, the music stops, and she's standing in this field of facehugger eggs,
almost like mines.
And she stops, and she doesn't know what to do. Does she keep going? And one of them starts to hatch.
One of them does open. Yeah. I think it's actually that's I think the opening of the egg is the precipitation towards the immolation that she spreads.
Okay.
One of the eggs like slowly opens, and before the facehugger can like kind of emerge, she's like, all right, well, now you're all going down.
Well, yeah, because in the negotiation, it's both like, I won't kill you, but I also won't destroy all of your children.
Yeah, that's the whole
more
thing.
about
They're all
children,
waiting for that.
I think. I felt like what it was like Ripley was like, I have my child here.
Yeah.
And you have your children here. We will each go our separate ways in peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think without the egg opening, she would have continued going.
Maybe.
But with the egg opening, she's like, oh, these are freaking evil.
Well, she would have gone, and then she would have nuked it from a great distance.
Yeah.
Like the aliens were always, she was going to end them no matter what, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I did prefer the flamethrower method than the nuking method. I want to see those things pop.
But it also seemed like kind of a stupid thing to do, because then they all came after her.
Okay, can I talk about the one dumb thing in this movie? The one dumb thing.
Okay.
Is Alien Queen riding an elevator?
That was maybe my third favorite scene. Like, just the moment when she's like, oh, button makes
She looks
thing.
at the elevator. And then she gets on the elevator. And then they shoot the shot of the elevator opening. And she's like, I'm here.
Is Xenomorph Queen.
Yeah, like I'm just imagining like the Xenomorph Queen like waiting for the elevator down below.
There's got to be a cut out there that's got that. Just waiting.
That's the only moment in this entire movie I felt kind of taken out of it. I was like, wait, the aliens riding the elevator? Come on.
Yeah, I definitely felt taken out of it right there. But like, you know, it's still a Xenomorph Queen, so they make it work.
And she disengages from her egg tube thing, which is also like really upsetting watching that. Like, the whole thing is just super upsetting.
It's like, all right, well, all of these are gone now.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we did that. Let's I think that this kind of works into maybe talking about Ripley. Like, Ripley, especially in that scene, and then further on in the loader scene, she proves herself to be such a capable action star. Number one, Sigourney Weaver. She's doing this again. You know, she played the final girl in Alien, but now she's truly kind of a warrior queen who stands above the rest of the warriors. But she's also acting in all this way, not out of self-interest, like in the first movie, of self-preservation. She goes back for Newt. She goes back twice for Newt. You know, once when she loses her down the shaft, and then once when Newt hides under the grate in the ship, and she goes out of the airlock. You know, she goes back a couple times to save this kid. There's no tactical reason she should do this. There's no benefit that she gains. But especially now, having seen the special edition and seeing the loss for Ripley when she realizes that she'll never see her own daughter again, and seeing Newt and them having this kind of gradually evolving mother-daughter relationship, it was so touching that she would go to such great lengths for this adopted daughter, you know, this like foster daughter. And that's incredible to see. I mean, I was blown away. I knew this was here, but I haven't seen it since I've been a dad. And now that I am one, I am almost like in awe of the power of motherhood here.
Yeah. Like I think like you made a point earlier to contrast that she is able to accomplish something that all the Marines can't. And it's precisely not in spite of, but because of her motherly tenderness, right? Her motherly self-sacrifice to go down for this child, whereas all the Marines were just there because they had a mission and they had to blow stuff up. But she's there, and since she has this mission, she's able to, I don't know, it's like, it's funny that Sigourney Weaver as a person hates guns, because her character almost doesn't need guns, right? She doesn't have a gun the whole time until she finally really needs one. And she needs to be able to take on dozens of aliens at a time, and she just goes down and does it. She's not scared of them. She's confronted them.
She's a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even like that she's like, even as a character, Ripley is not supposed to be incredibly ripped and able to, bench 200 pounds. She is just pretty fit and a capable human being, capable of handling her emotions. And that is what is needed here. Combine that with a selfless attitude of having to save a kid. She's able to do that because that's all that's really required for these aliens, because they are terrifying. They're not like unkillable. She knows that for a fact because she killed one.
Yeah.
And now she's just going to go down and kill dozens. And I think that's really cool. Like it contrasts the sort of like characteristics that you would need to have in this situation versus like a ruthless Marine who genuinely is scared because they realize they can die, and she's okay with dying.
Yeah. She's like, it's not worth it to live if this girl doesn't, if I don't try to save this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a fascinating image, like her overloaded with weaponry and the child at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that was just, it's almost shocking to see her like carrying these two guns. I'm kind of like frustrated about the way she's carrying them too. Like when she gets off of the ship and she's got the flamethrower and like the
assault rifle taped together.
Like, yeah, they're taped together and they're over here. It's like, why don't you have them in both arms? She doesn't have them in both arms because she needs one to hold the girl.
Yeah.
That she knows is going to be okay.
I'm going to go down there.
Yeah.
I'm going to get her. I'm going to come back up.
Yeah.
That's how this is going to go.
And she carries that 9-year-old girl from way down in the bowels of the nuclear reactor all the way up. And that's just like, I don't know. It was very striking to see her like standing there with the girl looking at the mother alien and being like, you're going to let me go.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to kill all yours. It was very cool.
I love to, sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
She lights up a flamethrower with Newt standing like right behind her. Like, also what's fascinating is that like on set that actually happened.
She has a real flamethrower?
Yes, she has a real flamethrower.
Oh
Carrie Henn is standing right behind Sigourney Weaver, and she's burning the set.
Oh my god!
This is not like previous episode, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where Rick Dalton was like, "Holy shit, yeah, can we do something about the temperature on that?" No, Rick, it's a flamethrower. Yeah, the 80s were not like that.
Wow. Yeah,
I think that this is such a cool scene. Like, so we got the egg thing, right? And she has to stand off, but then she burns the eggs. She shoots some of the aliens. They make the getaway to the elevator. They ride the elevator up. There's that further standoff with the queen. Then the ship comes, picks them up, and flies away. And what's so cool about this is in a normal movie, this would be it.
Yeah.
Right? But because it's not only an alien movie, because Alien always has the classic like third act like fake out, but also because it's a James Cameron movie, and the ending of the movie cannot be anything less than dialed up to 11 crescendo for as long as humanly possible. The last hour of Titanic is all the way up, and so for this one too, it almost feels exhausting when you're sitting like, how are we going to do more stuff? But it still comes back, and there she is in the loader, and she says, "Get away from her, you bitch." And you're like, yeah.
The Mom Moment Movie Award. Well done, James Cameron. Well done, Sigourney.
Exactly. She nailed it apparently in one take. Got in that loader, said, "Get away from her, you bitch." Moves on with her life.
Threw the real life alien out of the spaceship.
Yep, she did. They had a real one. It didn't work out. I hate it when we do this bit, but we're here doing the bit. This, though, in terms of like how motherhood works in this movie, this is like the triumphant like clarion call, right? This is the movie fully unveiling all of its, barely subtext into actual text
Yeah.
and saying like this is mom versus mom. This is like evil hive mom versus beautiful, enlightened, adoptive mom. Fueled by the pain and tragedy and rage of the 57 years that have been taken from her because of this species. You know what I mean? This is such a great moment. And I love that it's so fast, too. I do it quick, and now I'm going to punch you with this loader.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can I just give a shout out to that loader? Like, I was kind of blown away watching this, like, last night, because I was like, oh my gosh, that thing is real. That's not CGI. That is a real person in a real mech suit.
So
Like,
cool.
because it's not just a loader, it's a mech suit, guys.
It's a mech suit. It's a Jaeger in the making.
It's amazing. And you can tell, like, that thing is, they actually made that, apparently out of PVC.
Yep.
So it's not it's not real
metal.
like I imagined it.
Some pieces are working hydraulic, some pieces are not. When they show it in wide, it's different than close. But no matter what
It's
angle they
still
shoot it
really
in,
cool.
it is.
Well, it's Chekhov's loader. Chekhov's loader, guys. You see a loader in the first act, you're going to see it in the third.
The only way I would disagree with that is that in the first act, it's loading. In the second act, it's unloading a can of whoop ass.
Well, okay. I mean, Chekhov's is like, if you just got it. You know what? You got it.
Thank you.
For sure.
But it's a wonderful call by you. Chekhov's loader.
Chekhov's. I will hold this for any movie. If you see a loader in the first act, it's going to end up in the end. Boom.
I really like how they set it up. Like, almost from, like, scene 3, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, oh, and you got a job down at the docks loading with a forklift.
Yep.
It's
It turns out to be this mech suit. It's so great.
And then they see it again when she's like, I know how to drive that, and everyone's super impressed.
I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, you're
Where
awesome,
do you want
movie.
it? And they just start laughing.
Bay 12, please.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I mean, like, that dude, the freaking sales guy, is like, you're lame now because you're doing like this manual labor on the docks. But in the end, like, who wins out? It's the one who will do anything she can to survive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like a real
And
mom.
to do the right thing.
Yeah, just like a real mom.
Yeah.
And the way that she sort of passes down some of this stuff to Newt. And honestly, watching Sigourney Weaver here, and James Cameron is kind of known, so he's known as kind of an autocratic director on his sets, kind of an asshole. He's an old school guy, I think, that kind of rules more by might than by understanding. But something that is a common theme amongst all of his movies is very strong female characters that I always really appreciate.
Yeah.
And this one especially sort of heralds that beginning. So like Sarah Connor is great in The Terminator. She rises above, and at the end of that, you see her as this battle-worn hard ass that is ready to teach her son how to take on the future. But this one, it tackles Ripley at a really great time where she has to find something selfless about her. And it's great that she gets to fight the twisted mirror image of motherhood, this hive monster that is just birthing egg after egg of this thing that will colonize civilizations. And
in
I
a
love
parasitic way.
it's a parasite. It's
Yeah.
the parasite of motherhood, right? And she contrasts that. This isn't even her daughter. She adopted this daughter. She doesn't have 1,000 eggs that are going to hatch little Ripleys. It's the one newt, the one small lizard that she must take care of that didn't come from her. I think that's beautiful. And I think talking about this as a mom movie, we're doing this for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I think it's deeply inspiring.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I think it is. It is inspiring. Sigourney and Ripley in general. I like what they do, but also I think this is also kind of a silly 80s action movie. A really good.
No. What are you talking about?
Sci-fi silly. It's
Silly.
It's a little.
It's not silly.
I think it's a little. I don't know.
think it's silly at all.
I see both of your points.
I don't
I'm
think it's
sitting
silly
right
at all.
firm in the middle here.
As
I'm
per
not getting into this
usual,
battle.
Mike. From the
Like,
middle of a seesaw, you neither see nor saw, Mike.
But I can't
Well,
watch
this
both of
isn't-
you go up and down.
Yeah. when I say silly, I almost don't even mean it as like a. In this case, I don't mean it as a negative thing because I think it fully recognizes that and just like embraces it. Like you're going to be terrified by these giant plastic prosthetic monsters that are coming at you, and it's great, and it works.
Yeah, and like the Marines are caricature. Like most people in
Yeah.
the movie are caricatures. You've got the evil salesman caricature. You've got the super logical caricature. But then you've got Ripley, who does break that mold, right? Like the mold of a character. And maybe like we see them as caricatures because we've lived in a world where aliens has existed longer than we've been alive, right? But
And especially the Marines. The Marines especially are like they're like the quintessential like 80s what I would expect from anything really corny and cheesy, but they take that and some especially with Sigourney Weaver and Ripley, they can flip it on its head and make it rise to something more than a corny action movie that it should have been and make it something really fascinating. Great.
As long as we are settling on the fact that it is not, in fact, corny or cheesy.
well, I think what
Because by
Jesse's-
definition,
Yeah.
it is not.
Well, I think what Jesse's saying is that it has some of the bones that you'd see in a corny
I am
action
hearing
movie from
that.
the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I am
Yes.
hearing that.
But what James Cameron has been able to do in writing this movie is make it rise above like the corny stuff.
As long as we're saying it is above.
It's like
That's it.
like the pinnacle
That's
of
all I-
that
it's-
sort of movie.
It is
It's
not the
above.
pinnacle of a corny, cheesy movie. It is not the pinnacle. It is not that. It's something else. That is what I'm concerned with.
It's what they're all trying to be.
Yes, but it is not. It is not.
It's
that.
not that. No.
It's like if
It's
there's
not corny.
if there's
hold
a
on,
house.
hold on.
Wait.
No,
Okay,
no,
I'm
no.
speaking
We,
for you.
we have to.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. I have to say there are some corny, cheesy moments. It's always the Marines. Always the Marines
are
have
they
those
corny
lines.
/ cheesy, or are they just funny?
It's sort of funny, but like, what is it when Vasquez does like the arm shake thing and I can't remember. They say something like, "Oh, you kick ass, Vasquez." It's like I don't know. That's pretty corny and classically cheesy.
Well, there's the
But-
joke. Like, does anyone ever mistake you for a man, Vasquez? And she
goes,
says, "Does anyone
"Never,
mistake you?" Which is hilarious, by the
great.
way.
It's
It
great.
is
Yeah.
corny, and it's something
And
that we've
then-
seen a lot. But
It's
I don't know
not
if
corny.
you'd seen it a lot by the time this
And
has come
then
around. Like
right
Vasquez's
after- yeah.
character has
Yeah.
she been around in movies? Like it's just it's a thing that has existed now, but
it's up and coming, and then they do the whole like the 80s handshake almost right after that happens. And so that's when there are like some classically cheesy Marine moments in there. But it doesn't
If you
stick.
want to think of them as cheesy in your mind, then I invite you to. But I will not allow. I will allow criticism of aliens, but I will not allow any corny / cheesy labeling of this movie. I will not. Full stop.
I will label that as corny and cheesy.
In your brain,
but not
quietly.
No. Objectively.
No.
Objectively, that
No.
is. Yes.
We are going to have to walk away from
Yes.
this. We're going to have to walk away from this.
what I think we do all agree on, though, is that is that like it's a moment that's used to help us identify who these people are, using some things that we've seen before to help us like sort of like we have this idea, this sort of mythos in our brain about like how Marines act with each other, and it's like we're identifying them as Marines, but actually a little bit different. This is Space Marines way in the future. And like women are a part of it. In the
No,
80s.
women are clearly like allowed in this space. It's not weird that they're here.
Right. Yeah.
It's fine. Everyone's like it
And
feels
she's
like it's been
actually
going on for a
really
long
cool.
time.
Yeah.
She's one of the
Yeah.
best ones. She
is
she
the
has
best.
one of the biggest guns.
She and her
Drake.
guy.
The cool hip gun thing with
Yeah,
the
like-
rotating arm. Yeah, Vasquez is a force to be reckoned with.
I have to say, okay, the one criticism that I will level at this movie is that I think that the tactics that they use in having the big gun go first into rooms is a really bad tactic. You should have the people with the smaller guns go first with the bigger guns as backup. That's my personal belief, because they move a lot slower and are best used as a tank sort of in the back. That's my
I
only
did like it though
criticism.
when they open a door and
And
Vasquez
like-
fucking plants herself right in the
Yeah,
middle,
it's
and it's
very
like,
cool.
all right, whatever's gonna come out of this thing, I'm gonna shoot it.
Now, like her standing there as the door opens in front of her, that makes sense. Her like having to make all those motions
Okay,
and lead it in, like that doesn't, because she could be killed by whatever's on the other side
Sure.
as she's trying to level her gun.
and big tank gone.
Yeah, big tank gone. You've lost. Yeah. only criticism on my part here.
I think it's a fair one.
Yeah.
It's one of
Yeah.
the few fair ones I've heard this evening.
But
It's
actually,
one
no,
of two.
I do kind of want to talk a little bit about that, about like Vasquez and the Marines. Like, it's really kind of fascinating what he's doing. Like, this came out the same year as Platoon,
Sure.
right? And it definitely seems like there's callbacks to Vietnam, a lot of callbacks to Vietnam. Like, one of the main Marines is an actual Vietnam vet. The way they're going down in the shuttle, sort of blind. The way that they're treating their this is all stuff that we've seen in other movies.
They're in
about
tunnels
Vietnam.
frequently
Yeah, they're in
against an
tunnels
enemy that weaponizes the environment against them and uses claustrophobic spaces to pin them in places.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's it's very interesting that he's chosen to do that. I don't know, I don't know if there's more there than to just be like, huh, that's interesting, or if he's like making a statement like about, I don't know, the military-industrial complex or something like that.
I will say, if there is a statement here, if there is a one-to-one comparison, I really do not want him to elucidate who the alien is. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to know. I don't want him to explicitly state the comparison.
Fair. That's fair.
I mean,
I don't
who
mean
we
that,
doing
like,
the bug hunt on? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well put.
I don't fully think it's there. I think he uses it. Yeah, I guess he'd be drawing then from the original Alien, right? Which also does the thing where it's taking sci-fi elements and using it to make the horror, and he's using Vietnam elements to make this story here. So I think he's drawing conclusively from the original Alien line of thinking with this, and I don't really see a huge statement here about the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there's a tiny amount of commentary with the fact that as these things always go, right? We have the giant corporation that's coming in that is going to try and weaponize this thing. And I think there is a little bit of commentary.
Are we talking about Avatar?
Yeah, I know. I think there is a little. Well, I mean, that one is directly a commentary about the Iraq War, I think.
Yes, I know.
But this one, I think he's also drawing a weird something. I don't know exactly the strategic nature of Vietnam as opposed to what Burke is trying to do for the big corporation getting the alien. Like, if you're going to read into it, you have to read into it hard.
So I don't think, I didn't mean to express it like, oh, we've got this one-to-one relationship between like, oh, we've got like the Marines going into Vietnam. Like, I don't think he's saying like, oh, these aliens are like a specific enemy that the United States has fought against at any specific time, but more just like, I don't know, the United States is many years in the future, and they still have this massive military that's kind of subsuming
a privatized army almost.
That's subsuming everything. That works hand in hand with the big corporations, which is something that we've heard a little bit about in the past. I don't know,
also future
100 years, and their relationship with it. This corporation that's abusing both in order to make money. Both the citizens and the military to do that, and the military that's working hand in hand with them, sort of sacrificing the lives of grunts in that pyre.
Yeah. Only in this case, the Marines have no idea what's really going on, right? Because Burke wants to take back samples, and once they figure that out, they say, "Let's nuke the whole place."
Yeah.
Against what Burke wants.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, but those guys are definitely grunts. Like, they are not the decision making people. And I don't know. I don't think we need to go much further down this path. But like in my mind, there's like the evil overlord, like general who's like in league with a corporation. They're like, yeah, we're gonna go and weaponize this because, like he said, he wants to bring it back for weapons development. Who knows? Like, they seem to be doing fine without him. But
we need to find a new way to impregnate our enemies.
The essential horror of the Alien franchise. I think that brings us very neatly into where we're going next. Is this a dad movie? Number one. And number two. Is this the mommest dad movie ever? Or the daddest mom movie ever?
I have no idea what those things mean.
That's what we're here to discuss. Jesse, do you have a sense of the difference between a mommest dad movie and a daddest mom movie?
So the mommest dad movie would be a dad movie that has some mom elements in it, or the daddest mom movie, which would mean to say this is quintessentially a mom movie with some dad elements in it.
Wait, the Mommest Dad movie.
Oh, please don't get hung up.
I'm sorry. I just want to be clear. The Mommest Dad movie is a dad movie with mom elements, and the Mommest Dad shit.
Yeah,
I
with the
can't keep
most
these
mom
straight.
Just read
elements
it. Just read it.
possible.
It helps.
The one that has mommest first.
Yes.
If it's a dad movie, that is mom-ish. Mom-ish. It's a dad movie with mom elements. If it's a mom movie that's dad-ish, it's a mom movie with dad elements.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It's grammatical, right? Mommist is predicating dad movie.
Oh, good. This is very dad.
That helps.
Daddest is
helps me.
predicating mom movie.
Indeed.
Okay,
Indeed.
here we go.
Forsooth, sir. So
I have asked.
Jesse, in your opinion,
I'm really excited.
is
for
this
that.
mommest or daddest?
This is the mommest dad movie because this is quintessentially a dad movie
Yeah.
and not quintessentially a mom movie, I think. This is the mommest dad movie we can possibly do.
I might have to agree, and I don't want to, because I love that there's a big ass action movie that is entirely about like both the trauma and horror of motherhood, but in this twisted, weird alien way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so terrifying. And I can only imagine being someone that would bear children, seeing this nightmare on screen and how much more frightening that would be. I might have to go with you, though, because of how brawny and military this movie is. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's the Mommest Dad movie. It is a dad movie for sure, and it has very strong mom elements. It's the sort of movie that, like, you're like, yeah, that's why I love your mom. You know, like, because she's this person, and your kid's like, what? She doesn't kill aliens. Like, dude, you don't have any idea how many aliens she's killed. She's killed them all. That's why you don't see her doing it.
And it's just you and the kid because she is not there.
So I can't wait to do our Alien franchise sit down for Mother's Day, which will have been yesterday when this comes out.
Oh yeah, it will have been.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Can't wait to make my wife do this for her special day.
But to reverse it back around, given that it is the daddest mom,
Mommest Dad,
we're doing Mommest Dad.
Yeah.
Given that's the Mommest Dad, does that mean that this is a dad movie, Mike?
Oh, absolutely! This is a dad movie. This is this is fantastic. It's definitely something that I'll definitely revisit, turn on regularly. It's so good. It's so much fun to see, like, I don't know, like special effects that are real, like physical stuff. I am such a huge fan of that. I mean, that's part of what I love about the Lord of the Rings series is the Weta Workshop, all the Weta Workshop stuff.
The Weta Workshop.
Yeah, the Weta Workshop. CGI is great. I love it.
Yep.
Given a lot of money to stuff that uses it.
I have personally helped finance at least one Marvel movie at this point.
Wow, that's a lot of $1 million, man.
That's $100 million.
I've been renting a lot of stuff on Amazon.
But yeah, no, and I mean, like, I really do mean that though, because it is something that, like, I identify. Like, if my wife does listen to this, she's gonna be like, Mike, you're an idiot, but
in a loving way.
Yeah, like Ripley is like, yeah, this is like my wife. Like, I see her doing stuff that is not killing aliens and like leading men, but I see her leading and being like, Mike, do this thing. That's a smarter thing to do. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. She's a great leader, and I trust her to run away with our kids from the aliens and kill all the aliens while she's at it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I also really like Ripley because so like Vasquez can kind of get under my skin sometimes. It's like she feels like she has to be in charge almost, whereas in some ways Ripley's strength comes from knowing what is needed of her in any given situation. Like, she doesn't have to be in charge, but she knows the best thing to do right now, so she's going to go do it.
She doesn't want to get into a fight, but but if she's in one, she'll end it.
And she's going to go all the way, right?
Yeah.
It's not that she wants to be there, she has to be there. And that's what makes Ripley such an engaging character. So anyway, yeah, this is a dad movie all the way. and these strong mom elements just in almost make it more of a dad movie in some ways.
They do.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah,
they
I would
really
say they
do.
do.
Because
Yeah.
it's not so much like that macho bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just flexing your bloody pumped up muscles
Yeah.
and triumphing over the dead corpses of your enemies. It's about something deeper, something more. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, Jesse.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. This is a dad movie, though. This is a 3 for 3. We're all here, and I love what you said, Mike, too. So for this being our first Mother's Day episode, we know it was kind of a zag to do this, and if you listened this far, God bless you.
Thanks for joining. We really appreciate you.
We just
You
wanted to
would
talk
deserve
about
an
this.
award.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about this, though, and if you're a mom and you listen to this and you appreciated our discussion anyway, please let us know, because this comes out of a not only a deep love for the movie Aliens, but a deep love for our wives, a deep love for our moms, a deep love for the strong women in our lives that have shown us a good example, that have helped us become the dads that we are today.
And who will not watch this movie with us.
Mine did.
That's right.
And she liked it a lot. I actually mean that. She really did.
Yeah.
She really did not like that first Alien, but she really liked this one, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But we're really happy that we did this, right? Everyone's happy?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I love Aliens.
So much fun. This was a fun conversation, guys.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
I like digging so deep. This was cool. But for all of us here at Not Your Father's Movie, closing our Mother's Day episode. Happy Mother's Day. I'm Vito.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jesse. Have a great night.